G'day, Greg Miller from The Joy of Wood. Today we're going to have a bit of a look at whittling skills, how to use a knife to shape pieces of wood. People have been doing this for thousands of years, using sharp implements to shape wood. And you give a pocket knife to a kid and they're always going to sharpen a stick to a point. That's actually what we're going to start out doing. We'll start out with one of these whittling stick blanks, and we're going to do a point on the end. When we've done that, I'll show you how to do a ball on the other end. So we've got a few little skills to use. So first up, let's have a look at doing the point on here. Now, when you look at stuff on the internet, you'll often see people doing this, a great slashing blade. In my workshop, we don't do that. So it's throwing energy away, but it's also putting other people around you in danger. So I'm going to use a thumb push method here. So this knife here, the thumb is halfway on the handle and halfway at the back of the blade. This thumb, holding the bit of wood, pushes it, keeping the thumbs together. So this thumb here does the pushing. This one, its job is just to control the angle. And I can work my way around. I can do really shallow light cuts, or I can go in deeper and do big ones. It's always easier to work on a sharp point than it is to work on a wide flat. So when you do that, I've now got two sharp points to work to, and around we go. One of the things you want to practice doing is not going in a sweeping path like that, to actually be able to go straight. Anybody can go in a curve. What you want to do is learn to be able to go in a straight line. So this is using the thumb push method. Now you need to be able to reach. If you're right back here, your thumb isn't going to get there, so you're going to move it up and down in your hand so you get close to the action. Around we go. So I'm just turning this, and I want it to be a point without this creeping back all the way back here. So is it a long point? Is it a short point? You want to decide that and then make it happen. So as I turn it around, you'll see this area on the end is getting smaller and smaller. Now there's another method I can use here, a little bit similar, the thumb pivot. That thumb stays still, this one pivots off the end. So that gives you that wide sweeping cut. So it's the flapping elbow over here which does the work, and it's just using different muscles. So if your thumb's only used to poking your mobile phone, it might think this is a bit much, but you'll very quickly get the muscle tone in there. So around we go, getting finer and finer. So it gets to a point where I just want to do nice, light shaving cuts, because I want it to be round. If you think about taking something from a square out to the point, it should mean what we have here is a beautiful arch, isn't it? That's a good way of being able to assess whether you've got that going nicely off the corner there. Lovely. Okay, so that is just an easy way of getting that sorted. So I've got plenty of power, plenty of control, and around we go. 1 point on the end of the stick. That's pretty easy, wasn't it? Okay, what about the other end? So on this end here, what I'm going to do is a ball. This is where you do a bit of geography. If you imagine, what we want to do first is create a bit of a square on the end right here. Okay, there we go. Now you think about the globe, a map of the world. That meridian line around the middle we call the equator. So there's the equator. If we're going to turn this into a ball, there's the equator. Here's the North Pole, South Pole's down inside there. So I'm going to draw the equator around here. Beautiful. Okay. With this line here, I'm going to create the little pedestal that it sits on. So I'm going to do a V-shaped cut. I'm going to start on this sharp corner here. Now using my thumb push, I'll start with this one. That's what we call a stopping cut. goes to there. I'm going to pull it out. Now I'm going to rotate the blade so my thumb's on the side. Now I'm going to use the thumb pull like that. Now what's really important is this hand does not push towards you. What we're looking for is this thumb to do the pulling and this hand here to be trying to pull away. So there's no forward motion. If I let go of it, it springs back. So I can make that V bigger and bigger. I can direct it, I can shift it back to the line. So I've got that nice little V happening. I can move it around by taking more off one side or more off the other. So I've done one corner there. Now I'll come around and do the next one. So we start with that stopping cut, which goes down there and stops near the base of the line. Then I'll do that pull cut back into there. I might do a couple more of those. And then I'll come back in this way. Love that sound. You see there's the next V. I could take a little bit more out of there and get those to join up. They're getting closer. So I'll work around and I'll do that on each corner. Always do the stopping cut first, then come in with that pull cut. So try not to go wider and wider. Also don't do a rolling cut. We don't want a U, we want a V. It should come down to a very sharp, crisp line in the bottom. So think about that. It's a V, not a U. Opening this out bigger and bigger. One of the principles with this is, as much as possible, as I mentioned before, work on the sharp points. That makes everything a whole lot easier. Okay. So you see where they start to join up. Now we've got a small section, so it'll be easy to go in there. So there's my stopping cut. There's the little pull cut. And off we go. We're just going to work our way down into there. There we go. We want that repeated all the way around. So there's my stopping cut. I could do a little stack of those. Coming back further and further, so I'm cutting in underneath each time. Then do my pull cut down into there. You know, sometimes I put my thumb here. Sometimes I put my thumb over there. It really doesn't matter. Whatever's comfortable at the time. It also depends which part of the blade here that you're working on. Right, so I got that in there. Give that a little bit more of a pull cut down to there. Up into there. There we go. So next one around. Okay, stopping cut first, then the pull cut. Beautiful. Okay, one to go. Now, so what we've done is we've created the beginnings of the underside of the globe of the world. And we've got the heading towards the South Pole. But we don't want to get there because otherwise the whole thing will come off the end. We're going to get close. Now that's enough to get us going at the moment. Okay. So remember from your geography, what's the meridian line up here in between the equator and the North Pole? It's the Tropic of Cancer. So that's there. Put that in all the way around. And then we've got Tropic of Capricorn, which is the one I'm closest to, down here. Now those little lines are just helpful for working out where we go next. So I'm going to come around here, working from the Tropic of Cancer, and go across there. Work my way around. Now you can see those corners there. I'll just knock those corners off. You can see what we're starting to do. We're starting to get a circle. So if it helps, draw the circle in like this. So what we want to do is turn this into a cylinder. I'm going to take that out. Take those corners off, see that? Beautiful. So I took the main chamfer off the corner. I'm just coming back around. Beauty. Now I could redraw that if I wanted to, or I could just, I don't need to because I can see the other ones, but if it helps, redraw these on here. Okay, so now we're going to go back in here from the Tropic of Cancer. We're going to work our way across. So this time the blade is going right across there, so it's a little bit more pressure on the blade. So we take that off. We want to see this getting smaller and smaller as we head in towards where the Arctic Circle would be, right up near the top. Great, look at that. So that's looking pretty good. See that shape? Now we're going to do the same on the bottom. So we're going to start down here from the Tropic of Capricorn. Now, this works really well when the blade is on a bit of an angle like this. So doing a bit of a slicing cut. And you hear the blade hits that platform down the bottom as we push that into there. And that works really nicely. Often when you do a slicing cut, you don't need as much pressure. That thumb just pulling that around. So of course that's putting some little nicks in the platform at the base, but as we clean that up, that'll all work beautifully. Okay, so now the next stage, I'll just clean that out a little bit, just so you can see where we're going. So you see that little pedestal that the globe sits on is getting smaller as we come in there underneath. All right, that'll do for now. Okay, now at the top here, I'm going to go from near the equator and take off that sharp facet line just there. So this is a flatter cut. So when you carve a ball, it's actually a whole lot of little flats, the little facets that you cut, which turn it into a ball. These are really little light cuts. Then I'm going to go up here near where the Arctic Circle would be, and I'm going to go even flatter. What I want to see is that bit at the top, that flat spot, disappear altogether. There we go. See, it's getting smaller and smaller. I'm getting flatter and flatter up the top here. If I need to, I'll come back a bit further. See, what I've done now is I've moved this thumb out to the end, because I'm working right out near the tip of the blade, because I'm quite close to my hand, so I can get the angle that I want. So I want to just get rid of that. And when you look at it, you want to see that nice dome there. That's looking pretty good. All right, now I'm going to do the same down here. So we're going to take out that facet line, which is running around the Tropic of Capricorn. So I'm just chopping that off, creating a whole series of little facets. Now, why would you carve a ball? Well, I'll tell you what, they make fantastic finials on spoons. But what we're using here is we're using this little opportunity to develop our knife skills. Now, what I'm doing up here is lots of little tiny, very light stones. I'm cutting out the facet lines. So the little flat spots are getting smaller and smaller. And as I'm looking at it and turning it around, I'm getting rid of any little bits that don't fit. And in the process, that original pencil line around the equator should disappear. We don't really want to see that line anymore, but when we take it off, we don't want to end up with flat spots either. So it's just that nice, gentle, working your way around. Like with all hand tool woodworking, things work better when you hold the tool gently. And that's what's happening right here. So now, I'm pretty happy with where that's going. Now I'm going to go in underneath. I want to clean up this little platform. So to come across in here, I'm actually going to push in here, but draw this blade along without pushing that way. This is doing the pressure. And what I get is a slicing cut, which will clean up that surface. I want those lines to join up all the way around. So a little bit of a slice in there, it's that thumb push with a slice. And that's just going to help me clean that up really nicely when you're working on that wide flat surface. Looking good. Right, so as I come in here, clean that up, then I'm going to come in underneath to undercut that ball. Right down in here, get that blade in underneath, so I can be as daring as I wish. If you go smaller and smaller here and get to the stage where it drops off, you've just created a marble. But that's not my plan here today. So this one here, I need that to join up. So I'm going to come back in there and just do that thumb push with a slice. Look at that, beautiful. Okay. There we go. So that is a fantastic thing to do in practicing your whittling skills. There you go, ball on the end of a stick and a point. The trick is to work on even, so that you're taking off the material where you want it to go and you're not leaving it up to fate. That's the really important part in this. It's about developing the skills and using them. So this is using a very soft, quite nice piece of Queensland maple. But sometimes you might have a much harder piece of wood. So when you want to take a great heap of waste off here, if I want to shift this right back, I'm just going to show you this method here. As a power cut to remove a lot of material. I'll put my thumb around on the top side, lock this against my body and pull the wood but leave the blade still. So that power cut moves a lot of material. So I can just really hog the waste off doing that. So it's good, it shifts material, a lot of power, but I haven't got the control that I want. So when I want to even that up, I want to change the angle of that point, I go back in with my thumb push or my thumb pivot just to even that up. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that one. There's sometimes you want to take a heap off or you've got a harder wood, you just need that extra bit of power. That power cut there, remember it's the wood moves and the blade stays still. The blade's on an angle, it does that nice slicing action with a skewed blade, and that will do a beautiful job in there. I hope that was helpful. Have fun whittling. Cheers.